lose yesterday, especially with Glen Milk. That's definitely a bit of a shocker there. But anyways, it looks like the teams decided to get this game started. So on that note, guys, hopefully you're ready. Truffman, are you ready?
I'm definitely ready. Let's go.
I am ready too as well. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1, guys. We have Complexity taking on Trademark Esports here in a best out of 3. Again, winners bracket finals. Going to be amazing. You talked about those other matchups that we have here today. The loser of those, of TT Esports versus Pikachu, and then, of course, Vitriolic versus its Gosu, they're also going to be done as far as this tournament is concerned. So, again, it's just cutting down every single day all the way until Thursday, which is, of course, where the grand finals are being held for this tournament. So, again, cannot wait for that. The locking phase even going on here, though, so we got to jump right into this game. The blind bands happening. Jerizai and Fade taking care of from Complexity. And then Tundra and Pebbles gone by tdM. So, looking at this blind band phase, nothing too crazy to talk about here, Truff.
Very, very standard. I mean, I think B-Kid's percentage of him blind banning Jerizai and Fade in first position has got to be somewhere like 75%. Really doesn't want to deal with Jerizai especially, and then Fade, although they liked to pick Fade, maybe they just don't want to run in this game, and they also know that Minus, believe it or not, likes Fade more than them. Minus picks Fade quite often.
Yes.
And then Tundra and Pebbles from second position, that's very, very clear. We see that all the time. The locks have actually finished here. They went by quite quickly. Cthulhu locked by Complexity. We've been seeing them run it more frequently now. They ran it just yesterday with good success.
Yeah.
Pyromancer, Emerald Ward, and can't say I saw that coming, but maybe tdM has a strat. Don't know for sure. Coming back with Complexity, they go ahead and lock Ophelia as well as Plague Rider. Quite standard as well. Plague Rider, again, is a hero that we have seen with more success lately. A lot of teams have been running her. Very, very strong suicide hero, as I've mentioned before. And then obviously Tempest, that's a very, very strong hero. Again, tdM loves to run him as well.
Yeah, you mentioned, though, the Pyromancer Emerald Ward, and a little bit taken back by that as far as what Trademark Esports is thinking there. But like you said, from my experience, too, especially when casting my nuts and, whichever team he happens to be on, of course, now, of course, the leader of Trademark Esports, he seems to be one of those innovating players as well. He seems to be one of those players that's willing to try new strategies every now and then, and a little bit off the wall as far as when it comes to some hero picks. So, again, not to say that Emerald Ward and Pyromancer are crazy off the wall by any means, but it is a different pace than what we're used to seeing as far as the typical hero pickup. So, the bans, though, happening here. Polywalk Priest to start it. We followed up by Draconis, Nymphora, Silhouette, Moraxis, and now waiting on the final ban from Trademark Esports. Now, again, you always got to think about, especially with Fade being banned, I mean, that Mage Bane, we've seen how deadly Hackman is with her, but he's also very good with Dark Lady. So it's definitely an interesting decision to be made here for Trademark Esports, because then you can safely say maybe they shouldn't ban one of those two, that they could just pick up the other, whichever Complexity decides to go with to try to compete in that sense. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Trademark Esports finishes off the banning phase with.
That's definitely what I was going to get to, is that with both of those there, Fade gone, Draconis and Silhouette also gone, I don't think it's the smartest move to ban one. Although if you do, I would definitely ban Mage Bane. I just think, while Dark Lady is very, very strong, and I think she's really one of the best hard game or late game carries in the game, just simply because she can CS so safely between the Hatchet and her Taint Soul. Mage Bane's just so much more mobile, and he can get around the map so quickly. Yeah, and right there. So they do decide to leave Dark Lady open. Again, that's very scary just because everything else is banned. So, I do agree with that. I think Mage Bane is a little bit easier to fit into Linus, but Dark Lady is very, very scary, and I would not be surprised to see Complexity pick him up. But they do go with the Glacius pick. First pick, we've seen them use that, actually, Glacius as a first pick quite frequently.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, because now, Trademark Esports with 2 picks here, they could go something like a Luna Dark Lady, honestly. They got a powerful support. They get the go-to carry that's left on the board, really, as far as that top tier, and sure enough, Dark Lady and a Luna are picked up. So, yeah, Trademark Esports, it allowed them to get actually 2 very strong picks themselves as a result of that Glacius pick. So, now Complexity, you look at that pool as far as the locked heroes, I mean, you do have an Emerald Warden in there, which definitely has some carry potential, but not on the level of your Silhouette, your Dark Lady, your Mage Bane by any means. So, do you go with something like a Forsaken Archer here, Corrupted Disciple perhaps, or do you just go for that Emerald Warden and maybe more of an early to mid-game team instead? But yeah, Complexity, we'll see how they follow this up now.
Well, I think we might see a different style of carry. I think Bubbles is just prime right here. I really think Bubbles is here because right now, if I'm Complexity, I'm looking at Ophelia as first pick out of the lock pool. You have Glacius, so you don't have to worry about them having Glacius against your Ophelia. So they're going to have, if they want, just the strongest, I talked about this, a very, very strong pseudo tri-lane in their safe lane with Glacius plus Ophelia plus X. X being pretty much whatever they want to. So I think we might see a different style of carry. It could be an FA, it could be even a Chronos, or even a Scout. I mean, they can pick basically whatever carry they want right now. if they pick, say, like a Bubbles right here, because they're going to have the lane set up perfectly. They can go Pyro mid if they want to. They can go Emerald mid if they want to. That doesn't matter. What matters is the formula that I talked about. And right now we actually see, well, Complexity, like right there, they're just kind of thinking what kind of carry do they want.
Yeah.
I really think, though, that Bubbles should be picked here.
Yeah, you see, again, every single option pretty much being put up by Moon Meander, at least. So we'll see what Beat could ultimately choose. It's Soul Stealer looks like going to be that carry option of choice, perhaps, and then Hammerstorm to follow it up. So going a little bit different than what you suggested, and now this leaves open Bubbles to be picked up from Trademark Esports as well. So not only is it not going to be picked up on Complexity side, but again, Trademark Esports, they can very likely pick up a hero like Bubbles themselves. Very powerful final pick here. So interesting decision there by Complexity.
Well, now with the Hammerstorm pickup, that's going to be a farming Hammerstorm with the Soul Stealer mid. Now, that if they do get this Ophelia first, which I don't see them not doing, they're going to have an aggressive tri-lane. I suspect they're actually going to go long lane and be aggressive with this pseudo tri-lane. There's no reason not to with a Hammerstorm Glacius Ophelia. That's tons of stuns, tons of push with the Hammerstorm ulti as well as all the creeps from Ophelia, and just lots of aggression. That's also going to free up the mid lane, I think, from Soul Stealer. Yeah, no question there. Snap pick Ophelia. Also, Bubbles, by the way, was picked up by tdM. Very strong. Yep. But right now, Complexity can pretty much choose anything they want to go short lane. They can go short lane Cthulhu. They can go short lane Plague. They can go short lane Pyro. They can go any of those heroes, really.
Yeah.
So right now, their setup is quite strong, but they don't necessarily have the very, very hard late game to counter or to play against Dark Lady. So if tdM, if this becomes passive and they're not able to do very many things with Ophelia, then tdM will have the upper edge. But as we've seen with Chessie on Ophelia, he's able to make plays anytime he wants.
Man, Pyromancer, Tempest to finish it off. So I was thinking Plague Rider Tempest, to be honest, to give them that suicide and have Bubbles actually mid even. But looks like they go Pyromancer. Well, of course, they go Pyromancer Tempest instead. And again, that makes sense. Probably going to see a Pyromancer play the solo mid. Bubbles be that suicide. Have your Luna Dark Lady lane with Tempest in the jungle. And Plague Rider to finish off there. As you said, really their world is the oyster for Complexity over there as far as which hero they want to choose, at least from the lock pool, so limited options in that sense, but still strong finish nonetheless. But now this is not your typical Complexity lineup, though, in the sense of seeing that Silhouette, seeing that Dark Lady, seeing that Mage Band. It's very rare that we don't see really those trio of heroes, and well, you can add on Draconis to that even, those quad heroes in Complexity's lineup, so they're not going at this time around. Do you think that's going to affect Complexity as all, as far as to see the success rate here?
It really comes down to how they lane it. Like we talked with Beacon, their style normally is to go, okay, Moon's already bought boots, so they're going to have that Suicide Plague. Their style is to have a hard carry farming in the short lane with the pseudo tri-lane, and it's strong because they cannot contest, or tdM cannot contest that. They just simply can't go against it. But this isn't like a Draconis like we saw yesterday, where once he gets a ton of farm, he can move it in the jungle and someone else takes over that farm. Yeah. Hammerstorm can't really move in the jungle. So he is going to get a bunch of farm, yes, but it's not the same strategy that Complexity is used to running. Now, Hammerstorm is a decently hard carry. Now, actually, they did give one ward to him, so maybe they will go long lane. I'm not quite sure yet, but it really comes down to the lanes. I think they should go long lane with those heroes. They're very, very aggressive. It's going to free up a little bit of time here for Soul Stealer. And I don't know. We'll see what they do. But Plague Rider did buy boots, so that leads me to believe that Moon just wants to get up there as fast to place the ward, and then maybe he'll move to the bottom lane. But it really does come down to the laning phase.
Yeah, but it's going to be definitely very interesting to see what Complexity does here as far as their strategy. See Haxon a little bit troll going on. You ready? No? Okay, let's go. Yeah, so Haxon, of course, going to be playing the Soul Stealer, by the way. Beacon on the Hammerstorm. We've definitely seen him play that role, and as you mentioned, very likely going to see more of a carry-style Hammerstorm this time around. So, yeah, we'll see how Trademark Esports responds to it. And I must say, I mean, I look at Trademark Esports lineup, and that is a very powerful lineup. In fact, it basically is that formula, as we like to put it, that Complexity goes with all the time. You know, they got their great babysit support for that hard carry, Dark Lady Luna. They got that jungle in Tempest. They got that mid in Pyromancer. And they got a great suicide long lane in Bubbles. So, you know, as long as they put it all together, there's definitely a high success chance here for Trademark Esports. But this is Complexity that we're talking about. The same Complexity team that is still yet to drop a game here in the DreamHoN Summer Championships. That is what? So they played 14 games in the group stages, and then obviously they've been through 2 rounds here, so another 4 games. So they've 18 matches in a row, 18 games in a row that they have not dropped. I mean, when you think of it that way, that really is just kind of ridiculous as far as a streak that Complexity has going right now for not dropping a game. So here we are in the Winners Bracket Finals. Trademark Esports, by all means, a team that can compete with Complexity, and they got a lineup for it, but we'll see if they're able to pull it through here. So
Yeah, the thing is too is the roaming potential between Glacius and Ophelia is so strong. And now, while I give Pyro a definite edge to Soulsteel in mid, it's somewhat even. But I think really Pyro has the edge because his spamming ability is so hard, starting from even level 1. I've seen a lot of Pyromancers go that Q spell first, the Phoenix Wave, and just last hit creeps on top of the 100 damage harass to get an early bottle. And, you know, it seems to work out quite well. But, yeah, like I said, the roaming potential from Glacius and Ophelia could really hinder him in the mid lane. So it really comes down, and they're able to do that, especially if they're in the long lane. But, yeah, we'll have to see. Now, it does look like Luna and Dark Lady are going to go up in this long lane. Or, sorry, their short lane. And it will be a Plague Rider top. So while Plague Rider will have that deny available, I think he's going to have... Well, actually, Plague Rider here, that's the beauty of Plague Rider, is he's able to get the deny and possibly the experience here up in the top lane. Now, Luna is amazing as a support, one of the best, in order to keep him out because he has good attack damage, good attack animation, as well as that spammable ability from Power Throw.
You see Bubbles right there. He was able to place the ward aside at the bottom lane. Still well played. A Plague Rider, on the other hand, going to do the same at the top side, of course. But yeah, Bubbles was able to sneak in there. Great job. Not only did he buy boots as well, which he... ooh, did he not sell the boots in time? Or no, he's just buying more items. Okay, that would have been pretty awful for Bubbles. But no, he bought the boots initially. Of course, sold them like we see. Even used a Shell Surf port and eventually got down there quickly enough to place down the ward of sight. So the early block on both camps now from both sides. But you got to think this Legion side especially, that may screw up the laning presence.
I'm sorry, with the ward that was placed?
Yeah.
Yeah, good job by him to place that. I want to actually see his items to see if he... Okay, no, good. He didn't lose any gold.
Yeah.
I was worried about that too, but yeah, Bubbles... Pablo McLonglane, as he's also known as he always goes long lane. But he will be down here as Suicide Bubbles, and hopefully he's able to get some good experience. Now, they did block the ward, and they're going to have the deny to work with from Tempest, as well as Plague being able to deny his own lane. And Plague did buy the early boots. I think it's good here because... You're going to be taking on a lot of harass from Luna, and I think it's going to be good to maneuver around, possibly jump in for a little bit of experience right when a creep dies, and then be able to get in and get out very, very quickly.
Now, what do you make of Luna right here of right away going to the middle lane? She didn't even bother going to the top lane. It's almost as if tdM knew what Complexity was going to do as far as their setup, though, so they just have a Luna go to the middle lane right away rather than having to make the adjustment early on.
I like that. I mean, I really like that. I think having two heroes against a Plague is just a waste. Yes, Dark Lady actually should have a hard time against Plague. Like I said, that's the beauty of Plague. I've talked about this. You go against two, fine, it's good. You're denying experience from a lane that's already going to lose that experience because they have more than one hero. You go against one, fine. Plague Rider does very, very well in 1v1 matchups. So that's why I just really, really like solo Plague and Suicide.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a Luna and Pyromancer, that's double range, that's double stun, that's so much spam coming out in mid. It's really going to come down to the jungle. Who can gank first, who can be more active,